Melody Shari no longer being the center of the drama, but let me tell you, the Fletchers are over here low-key carrying this entire thing. I'm not kidding. If they just scrapped the whole setup and gave us the Fletchers, I think people would tune in week after week without hesitation. And before you click away, I need you to stick with me until the very end of this video because I promise you, I'm breaking down some things about Lance, Nell, Chris, and even the Scotts that you don't want to miss. This is the kind of tea that makes you see the show in a whole new way. So let's start with Lance, because honestly, his storyline feels more real and more relatable than almost anything else going on. Here you have this young man, a single father, trying to figure things out, and we don't even fully know where. The baby's mother is in the picture. That right there already pulls people in because it's real life, not just some manufactured drama for the cameras. Lance was living with his mom and dad when the baby was born, and now he's got his own place. That's growth. That's progress. That's what we want to see. And then to add another layer, he doesn't want to move the baby around too much because he wants her to stay in her natural environment and not get confused. That's such a thoughtful thing for a father to say, and honestly, kudos to him for stepping up and doing what he's supposed to do. But of course, this wouldn't be Love and Marriage Huntsville without some extra drama sprinkled in. Nell Fletcher, being the mama that she is right there ready to help. She's talking about staying with Lance 2 days a week to make sure the baby is taken care of and that things go smoothly. Now, on the surface, that sounds sweet, right? A supportive mom trying to make sure her son has the help he needs. But Chris Fletcher was not here for that at all. He straight up told Lance that absolutely not, that's not going to fly. He said if Lance wants to be a man and a father, then he has to step up all the way and figure things out without leaning on his mama to leave her husband and home 2 days a week. And honestly, Chris had a point. Would Lance really want his woman leaving 2 days out of the week to go take care of another household? That's the kind of real-life conversation that people can relate to. These are the moments that actually make good TV because they show the push and pull between family support and standing on your own 2 feet. And then, y'all, Nell is over here bringing snacks, drinks, and even what looked like a Walmart charcuterie board to Lance's place. Now, let's not forget, this is the same Nell who was just saying that she and Chris don't really have money to be living the kind of lifestyle they want. She said they needed to cut back and stop overextending themselves. But here she is spending money, energy, and time to make sure Lance is comfortable. If that ain't some mama bear energy, I don't know what is. But it also makes you wonder how that's going to play out between her and Chris. Because at the end of the day, she's prioritizing Lance while Chris is saying, nah, we got our own household to worry about. I would love to see how they're going to work through that dynamic because that's real conflict that makes sense and actually matters. And let's not even get started on Lexi, because, baby, where is Lexi in all of this? Why haven't we gotten more of her story pulled into the show? If they really want a storyline that viewers can latch onto, bringing Lexi into the mix would make everything way more interesting. She's already part of the family fold, so it just makes sense. This is what I mean when I say the Fletchers alone could carry the show. They've got real issues, real family dynamics, and they don't have to scrape the bottom of the barrel to find drama. It's already there. Now, compare that to what's going on with the Scotts and tell me if I'm lying. Letitia Scott, Kimmy Scott, and Destiny Payton all seem to be trying to gang up on Nell. And for what? Like, seriously, why is Nell even in their crosshairs? Tisha especially, baby. Tisha has way more things to talk about than trying to create a beef with Nell. Do we need to roll back the tape and remind her about those 6 bottles of hair products for her girls that just kind of vanished into thin air? She was pushing that product hard for a minute, and now it's like it never even existed. That's a storyline right there that she could be addressing instead of coming after Nell. And don't get me started on that jewelry store scene with Marsa Scott. Do y'all remember when Tisha and Marsa were in the jewelry store and the word divorce came up? Marsaw straight up said he was almost at that point, but then he decided to work on his marriage and his family. That was a whole bombshell moment that never really got followed up on. And to this day, Marsaw still doesn't wear his ring. Like, are we supposed to just forget about that? Or was that just dropped in for shock value so people would tune in for that episode? Because if that's the case, it's sloppy. These are the threads that could actually be pulled to create real conversation. But instead, they're trying to stir up drama with Nell as if she's the problem. And let me say this, Tisha and Kimmy don't really have much going on right now. Kimmy and Maurice Scott, nothing. Tisha and Marcel, nothing. Destiny and Martell Holt, nothing. It feels like they're just throwing random things at the wall to see what sticks, but nothing is sticking. And with Melody Shari no longer being part of the show, it's even more obvious that the original energy is gone. Let's keep it real. Melody brought the ratings, she brought the drama, and she kept people tuning in whether they loved her or hated her. Without her, it's like everybody is scrambling to find their place and it's not working. And here's something else I noticed. Towards the end, when I was about to switch over and watch the Houston show, I saw Tisha pulling way back to a situation from 2 seasons ago. Remember when Marsaw was in Atlanta? Something happened with his truck and he told her he was meeting a friend. Eventually, he said it was Chris Fletcher. Tisha pulled that back into the conversation like it was fresh tea. That was 2 seasons ago. You really don't have anything new to bring up? So now you're recycling old stuff. What I mean when I say the Fletchers are the only ones who actually have something going on that feels fresh. And let's be real here. Nell could honestly be like an anti-figure to Tisha. So why in the world is Tisha trying to beef with her? It doesn't make sense. It looks forced, it feels fake, and it's just not entertaining. They really want this show to keep its spot as #1 and stay worth watching. They need to lean into the Fletchers and let everybody else fall back until they actually have something real to talk about. That's why I say scratch the rest and give us the Fletchers. Lance's story is a single father navigating this new chapter of his life. Nell and Chris balancing their marriage while supporting their son. The question of where Lexi fits into. All of this, those are things people want to see. That's what will keep people talking. Because right now, this mess with Tisha, Kimmy, and Destiny trying to pick fights with Nell is just tired. Nobody wants to watch forced storylines. We want the real, and the Fletchers are the real. And y'all, I know some people are going to say they don't want to see that either, but think about it. If this show is going to survive without Melody Shari being front and center, it's going to have to be through the Fletchers. There's no other way around it. They've got the personality, they've got the drama, and they've got the family dynamics that can carry multiple episodes. The rest of the cast just feels stuck, and until they shake things up, it's not going to change. So before you click off, let me tell you this. I want to hear from y'all. Do you think this show should just focus on the Fletchers at this point? Do you think Lance's storyline as a single dad could carry the show? Do you think Nell and Chris's back and forth about how much to support Lance is worth more screen time than Tisha, recycling old drama? Because honestly, I think it's the only thing that makes sense. And let's not forget about Martell Holt in all of this. Martell is kind of just floating around at this point, and it's wild to see how little he actually has going on. For years, Martell was at the center of every storyline, whether it was his marriage to Melody, for cheating scandals, or his never-ending arguments with the cast. Now, he's just there. He's not really tied to anything worth watching, and it makes you wonder if the show is finally moving past him. But instead of giving Martell screen time to talk about real growth or his co-parenting journey, they've got him in the background, while the Fletchers are over here delivering the real content. That says a lot. And speaking of co-parenting, I think that's why Lance's story hits so different. We've watched Martell struggle to figure out how to balance his kids, his ego, and his relationships, and half the time he gets it wrong. But Lance, who's younger and less experienced, is already showing more responsibility and thoughtfulness than Martell has shown in years. He doesn't want to uproot his baby or cause confusion. He's trying to build stability, and he's accepting that fatherhood comes with sacrifice. If you're being honest, doesn't that make you root for him more than some of the others on the cast? That's why I keep saying this is where the focus needs to be. And let me circle back to Destiny Payton real quick because, y'all, what is Destiny even doing at this point?